Hello and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey. In this lecture we're going to handle the game over state. Now for the game over state, this is obviously a game design question. For example, you could make it so that each recipe had a timer attached to it and the player had to create that recipe within the time limit. Then if they failed enough recipes, you could trigger some kind of game over. Or for something more simple, let's just do exactly what we did for the game start. Let's just do a basic countdown timer. After the game is over, let's pop up a game over window and show how many recipes the player delivered. So let's do that. Let's go into our canvas and inside make an empty game object, call it the game over UI. Then over here, let's stretch it to occupy the entire parent, like this. Now inside, let's begin by making a UI image. This is going to be the background. Let's put it in black with just a little bit of transparency. And let's also stretch this to occupy the entire thing. So just like this. Then let's make some text, so let's make a new UI text, call it the game over text, and let's say just game over. Let's set the width and height both at 0, then down here, disable wrapping, put it centered. Let's put it pretty big, so maybe 135, put it a little bit higher. Then for some more text, let's duplicate this. Let's call this the label recipes delivered text. And over here we just say recipes delivered. Let's put this one a bit lower and quite a bit smaller, say on 50. Okay, and also on this one, let's put it in bold and change the color a little bit. Okay, next let's make yet another text. This one is going to be for the final number, so let's call this recipes delivered text. And this one is just going to have whatever number of recipes we delivered, and let's put it over here and quite a bit bigger. Okay, so this is the game over window that we want. Also, quick note, like I mentioned previously, the sorting order over here on the UI is based on the order in the hierarchy. So for the game over, we want this one to show up on top of everything else. So make sure the game over is the last one over here on the UI. Make sure it is the bottommost child on the canvas. Okay, now let's make a game object to run this. So let's create a brand new script. Game over UI, let's go into the object, wait for the compilation, and let's drag the script. Okay. Now here, the only reference that we need is just for the text, so let's just make a serialized field of type text mesh pro UGUI for the recipes delivered text. Here in the editor, let's just drag that reference, okay? Now let's make some show and hide functions and also show it just on the game over. So really, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did over here on the game start countdown. So let's actually copy exactly this. Let's go into game over UI, pass the exact same thing. Okay, so we've got the show and hide functions, we test, and then over here on the state change, instead of showing this one on the countdown, we want to show it on the game over. So let's go over here and just make another function. So public bool is game over, and we just return if the state equals the state.gameover. Okay, that's the function. So over here, if we are is state game over, if so, then we show, if not, we hide. Okay, the last thing we need is just for the text. So this is going to be the recipes delivered text. So we're going to set this to something, which really means that we just need to keep track of all of the recipes that have been delivered. So let's go here onto the delivery manager script and let's just keep track. So just a simple int, so a private int for the successful recipes amount. And then whenever we have a recipe success, so let's go here into our delivery recipe function. Whenever we have a success, let's just increase this by 1. Okay, so that's it. Now we just need a function to expose this. So a public int for the get the successful recipes amount, and just return the successful recipes amount. Okay, so finally back here on the game over UI, let's just print it. So go into delivery manager, access the static instance, and get the successful recipes amount. And of course we need a string, so toString. Except for this one, this is never going to change after the game is already over. So let's not do this on update, that would be quite wasteful. So let's just do it up here. So as soon as we have the game over, we print the recipes, and that's it. Okay, so let's test. So here we are waiting for the timer, and let's wait and just wait 5 seconds for it to finish, and we should see a 0. So let's just make sure that works. So after a little bit of time, yep, there you go. We've got recipes delivered 0, okay. Now back here again, let's try to deliver some recipes now. So let's try to make a cheeseburger. Try to deliver that. Cut this one, pick up this one, pick it up, put it in there. And okay, quickly. All right, good. And there you go, we've got a 1. All right, awesome. Everything worked perfectly. Let's just add one more final element. Right now, we cannot see what is the time left in the game. So let's add a nice clock element. So over here on the canvas, let's make another empty game object. Let's name this the game playing clock UI. And let's also put it behind the game over UI. So let's put it above on the hierarchy so that it shows up behind. In order to be able to see what we're doing, let's also just hide the game over UI, but only here on scene view. So let's click on the eye icon. Okay, so here we have our window. Let's just anchor it on the upper right corner. So let's put it somewhere in there. Then inside, let's create a new UI image. Call it the background. For the sprite, let's go with the circle sprite. So let's click on the eye icon to show all the default sprites. And let's use the one included with the circle. So you have this one. Let's also add a nice little outline. So let's put it on 2.2 with full alpha. And let's also add a nice shadow, just a nice visual. So on 5 - 5 like that. And for the color, let's also put it some kind of dark gray. Okay, so this is our background. Now let's duplicate this. So Control D. And let's rename this one the timer image. And for this one, let's give it a different color. So maybe something like a blue. So something like this, okay. And now over here on the image type, instead of simple, let's go with filled. Let's choose Radeon 360. Okay, great. And now over here, we can play around with the fill amount, and this will be our timer. Then you can set it up however you want. For me, I'm going to choose to start from the top. So as it starts, the timer is going to count down until the end. Okay, so that's great. Now let's make the script to run this. So let's create a brand new C# script. Same thing, the game playing clock UI. And over here, let's just attach a script. So now all we need is reference to our image. So let's make a serialized field. Private image, let's make sure to use this one, the image inside Unity Engine.ui. This is going to be our timer image. Okay, like this. Back here in the editor, let's drag the reference, all right. Now that we have this, we need to ask the game manager to get the timer normalized. So let's go over here onto the kitchen game manager and let's make a function to return just that. So a public float, let's call it get playing timer normalized, or game playing timer, actually, just to match the state. So get this one, and up here we have the playing timer. We just need to define a maximum in order to be able to calculate the normalized value. So let's duplicate this, call it the game timer max, and set this one to 10, and this one, leave it like this. And down here, when we change the timer, when we go into game playing, let's set this one equals this.max. That way we only define the timer just up here. Okay, so with that, now down here we can do the compilation. So we can return the game playing timer divided by the game playing timer max. Except just like this is going to be inverted, because for the game playing timer, we're counting down instead of counting up. So all we need to do is very simple, just reverse this. So just 1 minus, just like this. Okay, great. So we have this function. And then over here on the clock, just go private void update. And on update, let's go into the kitchen game manager, the instance. Let's get that. And we're going to use that on the timer image.fillAmount. Okay, that's it. Super simple. Let's see. Okay, here we are on the waiting to start. All right, waiting. And as soon as we start, yep, there you go. There's the timer going. And we can see it constantly increasing. So it's at the halfway point. And just a little bit more. And there you go. Yep, we've got the time over and we have our game over. All right, awesome. So over here, we implemented a really nice game over state. We have a playing timer with a nice UI element, and when it ends, we get a game over window showing a bunch of stats. Now with this working, the next task is to have some kind of main menu so we can play again after the game is done. So let's do that in the next lecture.